Broadcasting live from Thraben Cathedral on the plain of GP Detroit, this is Tap Tap Concede.
We're in Detroit?
Well, the Thraben Cathedral is.
That's true.
And there's a Stitcher's Lab in Melbourne, and there's Melbourne, pardon me. And there's a Markov Manor in Bologna.
Baloney. It's baloney.
It's spelled.
It's not baloney. We're sorry.
Bologna.
Bologna.
It says baloney. I'm going to call it baloney.
What we're trying to say is Wizards is kind of knocking it out of the park this weekend with the kickoff to the Innistrad spoiler. I mean, it's spoiler season.
It's spoiler season for Shadows of Innistrad already.
It has begun, which is what today's episode is going to be about. We're going to talk about all the cards that have been spoiled this weekend thus far at all three GPs across three different continents.
You can't pronounce anything right today.
No, I just can't speak.
That's
which is good. Which is good because I'm on a podcast where we talk a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you won't be required to speak at all.
Exactly. Are we ready? Are we going to crack a pack?
Yeah, let's crack a pack first.
Let's crack some packs.
All right, here you go, Cam. You can roll the dice because I know you like to.
Yay.
Random numbers.
And
Random numbers are the best.
He's going to roll it.
If there's not a card in the new set called Markov Chain.
What do we got? 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
All right. Fate Reforged.
Frith.
Not going that far back in time. This was given to us by Jack at GP Vancouver. When was it? GP?
GP Vancouver. That would have been
Last January?
That's a while ago then.
Wow.
Because we weren't at the most recent GP Vancouver.
No, we weren't.
So
unless that was Pro Tour Vancouver.
No, I think it was the GP because it would have been Fate Reforged.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's been in the box for a while. Hope you still watch, Jack.
We have a lot in there from old stuff.
We have a lot of packs.
First up, it's War Flare.
I always kind of like this card.
War Flare was sweet.
I am a sucker for the trumpet blast effects, though.
Hell yeah.
Because you just get to get people with them. Plus, this one had the added benefit of untapping all your creatures, which
so
means
you can
on the defense, this thing was legit as well.
So it's 2 red white for an instant, so 4 mana combat trick. But all your creatures get +2/+1 until end of turn, and you get to untap them. So
super legit.
Yeah, you could use it on defense, but
you
felt kind of bad if you had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it meant that even a tapped out, Mardu board was still dangerous.
Yeah, exactly.
If they had tapped out, if their creatures were tapped out.
Yeah. Soul Summons is a 1 white for a 2/2 kind of. It's you manifest the top of your library. If you remember back in Fate Reforged, manifest was you take the top card of your library and you put it face down onto the battlefield. You get to look at it, but you put it face down and as a 2/2 creature. And then if it is a creature card, then you would be able to unmorph it. You can turn it face up for its casting cost. So
this card was okay.
Sort of like DIY morph.
It was a 2/2 for 2.
This got into some number of white decks just because they needed a 2-drop, but it wasn't amazing.
Yeah, it was fine.
This guy had some use. Sultai Skullkeeper is 1 and a blue for a 2/1, which will pop up someday, I'm sure. There it is. When Sultai Skullkeeper enters the battlefield, put the top 2 cards of your library into the graveyard.
Yeah, I mean, it filled a bin, and it was a 2-power creature for 2. So
yeah, wasn't there?
I think it did what it needed to do.
Wasn't this a functional reprint of the card from
it was
Shrieking Guys?
Or
Shrieking
something.
Yeah,
Shrieking Scob, which I think did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Was it a 2/1 for 1 and a blue?
I can't.
Or a Screeching Scob.
I thought that's what it was.
That's the guy leaning in the door going. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I want to speak to you today about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like no, take 2 cards.
I could be wrong, but I think
Paul's looking it up, so we're just going to wait until it appears.
We wait. We slumber.
Well, I'll move on to the next card. Reach of Shadows. Pretty much the first pick so far. 4 and a black for an instant. Destroy target creature that is 1 or more colors.
This card was legit.
Yeah, it's 5 mana removal, but it's instant speed. The only caveat is that you can't kill morphs or manifests because they are colorless. You also can't kill artifact creatures. Well, you can't kill most artifact creatures, obviously. in the history of Magic, there have been artifact creatures that also have color. But the point is, in this set, you couldn't kill morphs or manifests, but you could kill most anything else, which was the stuff you're more worried about, probably.
Yeah.
Speaking of discard.
Yep. That's the one.
Yeah, Screeching Scub. 2/1 for 1 and a blue. When it enters the battlefield, put the top 2 cards of your library. Yeah, it is exactly
the same card.
There we go.
All right.
Oh, hey, I see from the mana symbol on, or the expansion symbol on that it's in Blessed versus Cursed.
Yep.
It is, too.
Did not know that. All right.
Next up.
Harsh Sustenance is next. It's 1 white/black for an instant. It deals X damage to target creature or player, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures you control. This was really good because it hits creatures too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it typically was just like, oh, and kill you because I have 5 creatures.
Yeah.
Just like, boop.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean,
Also, you die.
this is kind of like Orzhov of Outnumber.
Yeah.
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 Essentially.
It's better.
Yeah.
Because you gain life and you can hit.
yeah, and you can go to the dome.
Hit players. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up.
Speaking of going to the dome, pressure point. Doop.
This card was not very good.
It
No.
wasn't great. 1 and a white. Tap a creature. Draw a card.
Yeah. I will fully admit that I definitely played this card from time to time.
Yep.
But it was my 23rd, and it was like, I just need one more playable. And I'm sure it did things. It replaced itself, so it wasn't the worst.
It got rid of a blocker.
But it's definitely not a card I was excited to play.
What about Formless Nurturing? It's 3 and a green for a sorcery. Manifest the top card of your library, then put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it's 4 mana for a 3/3, basically. That could become better.
Move it forward.
That way? This way?
It's different. Yeah.
Ah, the end of that. There we go. So yeah, 4 mana for a 3/3, but Manifest was good.
Yeah. I don't remember actually being super excited about this card either.
No, it wasn't great,
No.
but I ran it sometimes.
Yeah. But
Ooh, better card though. Sandstep Outcast.
Oh, yeah.
This
Yeah,
guy
this is-
real strong.
I actually don't. Okay, so right now it's between Reach and this, but this card was insane.
2 and a white for a 2/1 human warrior, warrior being relevant in some cases. And when it enters the battlefield, you can choose one of the 2 options. Either put a +1/+1 counter on Sandstep Outcast.
I never chose that.
You rarely ever chose that, so you can make it a 3/2. Or you can put a 1/1 white flying spirit token with flying onto the battlefield.
You always chose that.
Remember on stream we had
Yeah, we had that ridiculous
Teamer battle
tooth thingy,
the
the
battle
saber.
cat. Yeah, Teamer Sabertooth.
Yeah, Teamer Sabertooth.
That you can make a creature indestructible by paying some mana and bouncing a creature to your hand.
Yeah.
And we had so much. It was a massive board stall, and we had so much mana
So
that we were generating at least 2 spirits a turn
Yeah, it was pretty
because
insane.
we were bouncing Sandstep Outcast and
Right.
and replaying it and making a spirit and bouncing it and replaying it and making a spirit and then bouncing it, and the next turn we could like cast bounce.
It was obscene.
So then
That was a good day.
that's how we won that game. That was good stuff.
Yeah, that seems good.
Another way I won a couple games in this particular draft format, Teamer Battle Rage.
Oh, yeah. I remember at the pre-release thinking, this card I think is better than what I've heard people, or how people evaluate it, and I'm going to try it. And I put it on the 4/2 hexproof
Yep.
Jeskai guy with prowess.
Whirlwind Adept.
Whirlwind Adept. And that won me some games.
Yeah.
Like, because you attack with that and your opponent's like, you're playing that guy.
this
Yeah.
card
And then
saw
you just
standard
get 'em.
play, right?
Yeah.
Like this card was.
It sees Legacy Pauper play.
Yeah. And it should. It's an incredibly aggressive card.
I didn't read out what it did. I'm sorry. 1 and a red for an instant. Target creature gains double strike until end of turn, which is fine. If you have Ferocious, that creature also gains trample. Ferocious is if you have a creature with power 4 or greater. And the Whirlwind Adept that we're talking about is 4 and a blue for a 4/2, so it trades for a lot of things, but it has hexproof and prowess. So if you cast this, you're dealing with a 5/3 hexproof double strike trample.
How do you like tenning people?
I like it a lot.
Yeah, tenning people feels really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hunt the Weak.
This is a good pack.
Yeah, it's a really
Yeah.
good pack. 3 and a green, sorcery. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control, and then that creature fights a creature you do not control.
A great green removal.
Always good.
Yep.
Bloodfire Enforcers. Not
Hooray!
always. Not
Finally,
always good.
finally the worst card. This was
Yeah.
never good. I hated this card. It was.
Yeah.
It never did what you
Because it
wanted
made you
it to
think
do.
it made you think it was going to do something.
Because you think it's like, oh, I just need to have an instant or a sorcery in my graveyard. No, you have to have both, and it's still just a 5/2. So unless you do have both, this thing just trades with a morph.
Like 5/2 trample first strike is really good.
Sure.
But That's it.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
need to meet instance or sorcery, and
So in the
it
in
didn't
the
happen.
Boros deck, you could on turn 2 you could start with the Soul Summons, which was a sorcery.
Yep.
Right, you can get that down there. Or in the Prowess deck, you could write into being, which is the 2 and a blue. So it's a 3-mana sorcery. Then you have your sorcery thing fulfilled. Then if at some point during combat you're using an instant, then out of nowhere this thing becomes terrifying.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I never saw it happen.
No.
I still didn't like it. It was, again, the fact that it's a 5/2
Yeah.
just made it so bad. I didn't like
Look
it.
who's here.
Hey.
It's the Teamer Sabertooth.
This
Hey.
is probably the first pick right now.
2 green for a 4/3 cat. And for 1 to green, you may return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, Teamer Sabertooth gains indestructible until end of turn.
Look at the
Yeah.
difference between these 2 4-mana uncommon creatures.
Yeah, this one's just significantly better.
So you could just always attack with Teamer Sabertooth. You could just be like, I attack.
Yeah.
And if they block it, or if they try to trade with it, then you just bounce a different creature you control.
Yeah.
Or you can just keep that mana up for protecting this creature or protecting the other creature, right? If they try to kill something else, you can pay this and bounce it. Mm-hmm. Or, like we said, you could be degenerate and just make a million spirits. So that's fun. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be favorite fort without a dragon. It's the Mind Scour Dragon. It's one of the cycle of the 4/4 for 6 mana uncommon dragons. This one is 4 blue for a 4/4 flyer. Whenever it deals combat damage to an opponent, target player puts the top 4 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard.
This was probably the weakest one.
It was not great. It was still a 4/4 flyer
was.
for 6,
I kind of like
which was fine, but it wasn't super exciting. Like, the second ability is like, or its main ability is sure.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you were ever really milling somebody out. And I guess you could fill your own bin with it, but nah.
Then delve.
It's true.
Our land is the Swiftwater Cliffs.
Okay.
Because every one of these packs had a dual land. And our rare, this is a kind of interesting one, Mob Rule.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
4 red for a sorcery. Choose one. Gain control of all creatures with power 4 or greater. Untap those creatures, they gain haste until end of turn. Or gain control of all creatures with power 3 or less, and they gain haste until end of turn.
I don't remember ever playing this. I don't remember ever seeing it cast.
I do. It's real good.
Yeah, did it end the game?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you first pick it, though, over everything else in this pack?
This is a tough pack.
I don't think I would first pick this. I would probably take the Battle Cat over this. I might honestly take any of the other cards over Mob Rule.
So we're thinking Sabertooth, Sandstep Outcast, and Reach of Shadows are all the best picks here.
I think so. I think I take any one of those cards over Mob Rule. Like, maybe Mob Rule is good, but I don't
know. Having seen it having seen it go off. The problem is it's 6 mana.
Yeah,
Right.
well, exactly.
But having seen it go off, typically in this format, you didn't end up fighting a lot of decks that had both. They would have like a lot of little things and one big thing, or just a lot of big stuff. Mm-hmm. And so you would take like all their little guys and then turn everything sideways, and surprise, you're dead. You know, like when you're in a massive board stall and you're sort of at creature parity, and then you take more than half of their creatures and attack with everything.
Yep.
It's really strong.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not strong. I just think the other ones are just more consistent,
Oh yes.
right? I mean, they're just
yes.
significantly.
They're way more consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm here to tell you Mob Rule is good. That said, I'm probably still taking Teamer Sabertooth.
Yeah,
I
think
guess
take
we
the
just go with
Sabertooth.
Cringer here, right?
I think it goes like Sabertooth, Outcast, Reach for me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, Reach always seemed to just underperform a little bit for me.
Like, yeah, I mean
it's-
it's good, but
yeah.
there's other ways to kill things. But
Yeah.
I like my
Sabertooth
5
and-
mana just kill anything. you
Sabertooth
want,
and Outcast
basically.
are less replaceable.
Yeah.
But yeah. Sweet,
All right,
sweet
we'll go-
pack though. Thank you, Jack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very.
And now we're going to talk about the new cards.
New cards. So we're recording this on Saturday afternoon, and I don't know if there are actually more cards to come for the weekend.
I think there's one more.
There could be some more.
because there's only been 3 spoiled from the there was 4 at. Yeah, there was 4 at GP Detroit and 4 at. Oh no, I'm miscounting because there's flip cards.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, so I guess, I mean, we could keep track and we'll check.
We're going to talk about everything that was spoiled this weekend at time of recording.
Correct. And we'll check Twitter at the end of the recording, and maybe there'll be an extra card.
Who knows?
Who knows? So I think, Cam, you'll lead us off
Yeah.
with a card that
wasn't actually spoiled this weekend.
Yeah.
But is in the Blessed versus Cursed duel deck.
Yeah, and this is me sending out a big flare in case. Hi, I'm Cameron, and in case you don't know me, I like cards that do powerful nothing.
You like, and blue.
Yeah, and blue. So I want to talk about Pour Over the Pages.
So what does it do?
It is a sorcery for 3 blue.
Okay.
You just talked about how you wouldn't pick a card that probably wins the game when you resolve it for 3 red.
4 red.
4 red.
4 red.
6
Yeah.
mana.
What about a card that does nothing?
This card does things.
I like this card.
Oh, I love it too.
All right, so draw 3 cards.
This does actually less than nothing.
Untap
Draw
go
3
for it.
cards, untap up to 2 lands, then discard a card. And when I saw this, the first card that came to mind was Frantic Search, back from Urza's block, which was an instant for 2 and a blue, draw 2 cards, untap up to 3 land, discard 2 cards,
Right.
which I love because I love Reanimator strategies. Pour Over the Pages is not as good,
No.
but it's really neat.
Well, because Frantic
It's
Search
really
is a
neat.
lot more frantic.
Yeah,
Right?
and
You're
it's-
like, and Pour Over the Pages is like, okay.
yeah.
Let me take my time with this.
Yeah.
Let me really get to know these notes.
Yeah, exactly. You're pouring over the pages.
Make
It's
friends with these notes.
you know, you're putting on a pot of tea.
Yeah.
You know, you're opening this book that you just got. Maybe you picked it up at a reading. You're blocking off some time with this.
But this seems sweet.
Yeah, it does.
You draw 3. You only have to discard 1.
Yep.
So you're netting 2 cards.
Yep.
You have the selection of getting to pitch something that was already in your hand
Yep.
if you don't want it. And you get to untap 2 lands, meaning that there's a chance you then still get to cast something.
Yeah, especially a madness card.
And you get to draw the cards before you untap the lands.
Yes.
Correct.
So you get to draw and go, oh, I drew that. Now I know what lands I have to untap.
Yep.
Oh, right, and discard right, because madness is a mechanic.
Yeah.
Have they officially spoiled a card with madness?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
I don't think they have.
Oh.
That's fine.
I'm pretty sure. No, yeah, they have. They absolutely have. Incorrigible Youths has madness.
Oh yes.
It's
Oh, yeah,
2
you're
in a
right.
red,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll talk about that in a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, they have absolutely spoiled a card with madness.
So what's Incorrigible Youth's madness
Madness
cost?
is 2 in a red.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So on turn 6, you can draw 3 cards, cast Incorrigible Youths.
Yeah,
That seems
which is
fun.
pretty sweet.
Yeah.
This card seems really cool, actually. With like on the face of it, I think it actually just looks pretty good.
Yeah.
But in this particular limited format, it may actually be very good.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to picking this card often and early, and probably having way too many of cards that do this, and too few of the cards that actually take advantage of this. But it's going to be great.
It feels like a
gonna be
LSV card.
great.
Very much.
I'm excited to read his review and see what he thinks. All right, so what's next?
Can I talk about Era of Falconwraith?
Is that what's next?
Yeah.
Let's
Falcon
do
Wrath?
it.
I guess Brain in a Jar is next.
Let's go in order.
Okay.
We might as well.
So Brain in a Jar was the first one they spoiled this weekend. It's a 2-mana artifact called Brain in a Jar. And it's got a brain in a jar, which is great.
I love top-down design.
I love it. It's a brain in a jar. So for 1 mana and tap it, you put a charge counter on Brain in a Jar. Then you may cast an instant or sorcery with converted mana cost equal to the number of charge counters on it from your hand without paying its mana cost. So you pay 1 and tap and put 1 counter on it, and then you can cast a 1-mana spell from your hand without paying its cost, meaning that you can cast something that you don't have the actual mana colors to pay for. For 3 and tap and remove X charge counters from Brain in a Jar, scry X, which is great because that also lets you control the number of counters. Because
Yeah.
the first ability, you have to put a counter on. So unless we were talking about this on stream, unless you sack the Brain in a Jar in response, because putting a counter on is not part of the cost, it is part of the ability, and you could theoretically sack the jar before the counter goes on, but that's a super corner case, and please don't worry about it. If you activate it once, it goes on there's one counter you can cast a 1 mana spell. You activate a second time, it's 2 counters you have to cast. You can only do a 2 mana spell.
Right.
But what if you want to do another 1 mana spell for free, so you can pay a bunch and scry 1 and take a counter down to...
It seems...
Well, I mean, like...
You have to go down to 2 and then
Yeah,
put 1
it
on.
seems a little ineffective in that
I like
manner.
that it's there. It seems
Yeah.
like it's fun for sort of late game. It's like, I'm out of stuff. Oh, let's just scry a bunch.
In Constructed, what you're going to do is you're going to, like, cast a bunch of free spells. You're not going to play this for one.
Yeah.
But, like,
like, number
ideally,
one,
you would
don't
be
play it.
casting, like, a bunch of free spells as you ramp this thing up. And then, once you get it to a position where you're kind of in control of the game, you blow off a bunch of counters, dig for your win con, and then cast it.
So I mean, is it if they were to if they were to design Aether Vial today, that's what Aether Vial would look like, right? Because Aether Vial is significantly better than this card. Because a lot of people,
Aether Vial's busted.
rightfully so, because it does a similar thing.
Yeah, it's an artifact that-
When Brain in a Jar came out, was like, oh, it's Aether Vial but for spells. It's not even close to Aether Vial but for spells. It has the same sort of design to it, but it definitely feels like, all right, let's make Aether Vial for spells, but not busted.
Yeah, Aether Vial is a single mana, so
Yeah.
so it's 1 mana artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a counter on Aether Vial, so you get to put the counters on it for free.
Yep.
And you
can choose not to.
You can choose not to, so you can very easily control how many counters are on it, and then you can just tap it for free to put a creature with CMC equal to the number of charge counters onto the battlefield.
That card is so busted.
It's really broken.
Yeah.
It's just like you're playing a super aggro deck and you have a bunch of 2-drops, so you just play Aether Vial on 1, and then you're just playing free 2-drops or 1-drops or whatever.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Or in Legacy, you're just dedicating your mana base to hate cards.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Death and Taxes runs this, and this is how it plays its creatures.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's using its mana base for cards like Rashidun Port
Yeah.
and Wasteland.
Yep.
All right. So that's Brain in a Jar. I think it's kind of cool.
I think Brain in a Jar looks neat.
I can't imagine it being playable and constructed. I don't even know if it's going to be good and limited.
I don't think it is.
It seems like
I
no.
look forward to seeing what other people do with it.
Yeah.
I think Constructed has to be the place for it, because I don't think it's going to be good in draft.
No.
I don't think so. I don't think it's going to be good. All right, we'll find out. All right.
I mean, it really depends on how good 1 mana sorceries are. I mean,
Yeah.
like, it doesn't just depend, but it implies that there may be playable 1 mana sorceries. So maybe we'll get a cantrip of some
Yeah.
kind that's worth playing. But, like, those 1 and 2 drops have to be good.
All right. Next up,
All right, Heir of Falcon Wrath.
Black Delver.
Yeah, this now there's a kind of a new Delver, which I love and we'll talk about, but this is the new Delver for the set.
Can I just mention how much I love the art of
Yeah,
this card?
some
Yeah.
people have pointed this out. If you look
Yeah.
at the art of the card, the negative space in her dress with the
Gorget.
two with the two like things hanging from her gorget.
Yeah.
Make
A bat.
eyes, and it's a
a
bat.
bat.
It's
Yeah.
a bat shape.
It's so amazing.
That's really
The
fun.
art has been nothing but impeccable so far.
Yeah.
They've just completely nailed it with the art, I think, so far.
So if you remember Delver of Secrets from original Innistrad, it was a single blue mana for a 1/1, and then you could flip it into a 3/2 flyer by revealing an instant or sorcery. This is a little more expensive to begin with, but I'm much happier playing a 1 and a black 2/1 than
That you
a
can-
1 mana 1/1. It's a piker. It's a 1 and a black for a 2/1. That's great. That's a fine card.
Yeah.
And the transform is discard a card. You do whatever you want, and then she turns into Heir to the Night, a 3/2 flyer.
So
Yeah.
you play this on 2.
Yeah.
You immediately discard a card, and next on turn 3 you're attacking for 3 in the air.
We talked about incorrigible youths already,
Yeah.
right? Red black aggro. Play
Red black.
air on turn 2. Turn 3, discard youths, cast them
Yeah.
for madness, and then you're hitting for 3 in the air, and you have a 4/3.
Yeah.
That's gross.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen. We've seen like 8 cards from the set. I'm just forcing black red aggro every
Yeah.
single time I
Like-
draft it.
So far, the set has been, like, bonkers cool.
Yeah, I'll say that right now. I think we all agree that this set has been living up to expectations, which is impressible. Wow, I just can't. Okay, I'm done.
James just can't.
I just can't speak to
You
that.
want to do this next one then?
Next one is Bygone Bishop. So 2 and a white for a 2/3 flying spirit cleric. Whenever you cast a creature spell with converted mana cost 3 or less, Investigate.
What does that mean?
Investigate means you get to put a colorless clue artifact token onto the battlefield.
You get a clue.
And you can pay 2 blues clues, yo. And you can pay 2 and sacrifice it to draw a card. Investigate seems kind of neat. Of all the mechanics we've seen so far, it's like, okay, it's probably my least favorite. But I am kind of excited to just always have this like thing on the battlefield that I can just be like, I really need to draw a card. Give me.
Also, you get to like roll your eyes and say witheringly, "Oh, get a clue."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I don't know. Instant speed card draw seems
Oh, it seems very good.
like it's a thing that makes me quite happy.
Yeah. No, it's really
And
good.
not having to expend a card for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A 2/3 flyer for 3 is like
And I was just going to say,
utterly playable.
ignore
yeah.
ignore the box text. I'm just going to always play a 2/3 flyer for 3
Especially if there's spirit interactions like there were
in the previous set.
in the previous set,
Yeah.
then having a spirit is relevant. Even if it wasn't, the 2/3 flyer for 3 is fine. And then just randomly you get free clues that you can cash in later to draw cards.
Yep.
You just get clues.
Conclude.
What's up, Paul?
I was going to say, do you think this is better than whenever you cast a creature spell with converted cost 3 or less, you may pay an extra 2 mana if you do draw a card?
Yeah.
Because it allows you to delay the payment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that is good.
Yep.
And I guess if you're playing,
if you play this
hey,
on-
Metalcraft,
Yeah. If you
Or-
play this on 3, wow, Metalcraft. If you
Or
play
if
this,
they're-
sorry.
Like shrapnel blast effects.
Yep.
Yeah.
But if you play this on 3 and then you play a 3 mana creature on turn 4, you wouldn't be able to pay that.
Correct.
So just sort of banking the clue.
For when you need it.
Yeah.
Seems
Also,
quite good.
definitely there will be some blue card for which the nickname will be Blues Clues. I don't know what it is yet. I don't think it's one that's been spoiled. but it's
I
gonna
think
happen.
I'm making a prediction that it will be some blue sorcery, like 8 mana.
8 mana.
If you control 13 clue tokens,
Win the game.
Win the game. Yeah.
that's what I'm anticipating. The new kind of like door to nothingness.
Yeah. Just
What was the one from
yeah.
like Hedron alignment?
And it's going to be like Jace's revelation, or like
Yeah.
Jace. Like it's basically going to be like Jace figures out the mystery.
Yeah.
And it's going to be
Good
if you
job,
control
Jace.
A bunch of clue
Jace
tokens.
literally just wins the game for you.
Yeah. All right.
Like you thought Jace winning the game for you before was arduous.
Cam, you want to talk about
Aberrant researcher? Yes, I do.
actual New Delver?
Okay, so Wizards has apparently decided that a 3/2 flyer is actually worth 4 mana, which is correct.
That's correct.
That is a correct evaluation of those abilities. So Aberrant Researcher is a human insect for 3 and a blue. It is a 3/2 flyer with a transform ability. At the beginning of your upkeep, put the top card of your library into your graveyard. If it's an instant or sorcery card, transform Aberrant Researcher. What does it transform into?
Perfected form. Which is
5/4
just,
flyer.
So the flip ability is quite a bit worse
Yeah.
than Delver, obviously.
Is
'Cause
it?
Well, yeah,
Well-
because you're binning whatever you're flipping. You're not revealing it.
Yeah, but don't you want stuff in the...
You might,
I mean, I
but
think
maybe
you want-
sometimes you don't, right?
I
like,
think you want your creature cards in your graveyard. I'm not sure you want your instants and sorceries, unless
Also,
like there's
you don't have a choice, by the way.
Yeah.
You
Correct.
have to mill yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Until
what
you
I'm
hit
saying.
instant or sorcery.
I think flavor-wise, this card is insane. I think it's probably not that great.
no, it's going to be
Well,
fine in limited.
Wait, is Perfected Form flying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's actually probably still really good, but
Yeah, I think it's quite good in limited. I'm not sure it's going. I severely doubt it's going to have the eternal format impact of
God,
Delver
no.
of
No, it
Secrets.
will
I'm
absolutely
going to go out
not.
there right now
Yeah,
and
and
say
say
that it's
no.
probably not going to.
I love a lot of people were like, it should be 3 mana. It's like, no, it shouldn't.
No,
it
it
really
shouldn't.
actually
No.
shouldn't. It would be too good. Because then you could theoretically be hitting with this on turn 4.
I guess I expect to be like, play it and then flip a creature, flip a land, flip a creature, flip a land, and I'm like, no.
Well, like Delver wasn't even that great in Innistrad Limited. Because in Limited, you weren't playing like a lot of instants and sorceries.
No, I mean-
unless like you had to commit hard to that.
If I had more than like,
could
yeah,
be,
like
yeah.
I wouldn't.
Like you pick up a Delver, you pick up a Rune Chanter's Pike, you get a couple of Think Twice.
I mean, I would definitely never play. I very rarely played one Delver as well. Like
you'd play
I
multiple.
wanted to play like 2 or 3 Delvers and then try to stack my deck with instants and sorceries.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I was getting somewhere with Delver, but
You ever get to flip multiple Delvers at once?
yeah, I think we did that once
That's good
actually on
stuff.
stream. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this card just flips into a massive flying bomb, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, you're probably always playing it in limited. It just seems like silly not to. I wouldn't play it if I'm only running like if my deck has like 5 or 6 sorceries.
Yeah.
And it's just like you cast this and you've already maybe, used 1 or 2. And it's just like,
Yeah.
well, now I'm just statistically going to be flipping cards and binning
Like-
them for really possibly no value. I guess if you also have use to use your graveyard as a resource,
Yeah.
then it gets even better. But
Yeah,
if
like
you're
if you're delving things away, or
if you're just in a blue-white deck with a
wait.
couple instants and sorceries, I probably just don't play this.
like in standard delve is going to be gone by the time this arrives.
Yeah.
So like, and we've seen 4 4 mechanics, right?
Mm-hmm.
Delirium, Madness,
Investigate.
and the 4th one is the flip card,
Transform. Yeah.
Transform. So like, is there space for flashback in this set?
No, probably not.
No.
I get the feeling that we've seen all of the. I could see flashback coming in
Like
Eldritch Moon.
Yeah.
But I think we're probably done with the mechanics of
Yeah.
this one. All right, so
Delirium works with it.
yeah, that's true.
I hope there's enough of him in the perfected form to be proud of himself.
Yeah.
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 I hope he's happy.
What happens if we revisit Innistrad in like 3 or 4 years? What happens to perfected form?
Even perfecter.
Yeah,
form.
exactly.
It's
Ultimate
bigger now.
final form.
All right,
Final crusher.
It's not even my final form.
what else we got?
Relentless Dead.
Yeah, this card
Yep.
is the best card they've spoiled so far.
Actually, first of all, can we see the card Endless Ranks of the Dead?
For that
From-
sick art
Innistrad.
reference.
Yeah, same artist, Ryan Yee. If you see Endless Ranks of the Dead, is a bunch of zombies hammering on the stained glass window in one of the churches of Avacyn. It's a stained glass picture of Avacyn with her weird symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah, the collar,
Yeah.
the silver collar.
Is it not called Endless Ranks?
It should be Endless Ranks of the Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's just
Just Paul is having some
internet's having some problems.
having difficulty finding it. Well, anyway, the point is, it's the same church, and they've now broken through the window.
Well, one of them broke through
One
the
of
window.
them.
It took them 4 years of pounding on a window to get through. So
There it
maybe
is.
like
There we go.
The
Yeah.
question is, which one of those? I assume it's the guy with his arm up.
I
He
guess
clearly
so.
is working the hardest to get in.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just like standing outside waiting for that dude to get in.
Mm-hmm.
So
Anyway, Relentless Dead. Bam, we're in it now. They're through the glass. They're in the church. 2/2 zombie for black. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's a little harder to cast than you would expect for a 2/2, but whatever. But it's got menace, so it's like, oh, okay, sweet. The 2/2 with menace for black. That's great. Actually, that reminds me of some older Magic zombies that cast that they're 2-power and black and have some sort of evasion. That seems pretty sweet. Oh wait, there's more. When Relentless Dead dies, you may pay black. If you do, return it to its owner's hand. So when it dies,
it never goes away.
you just pay
Yeah.
1 and it just comes back because it's relentless. Oh, there's a third thing. When Relentless Dead dies, you may pay X. If you do, return another zombie with converted mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Yep.
I
The
wanna
battlefield.
kill this
You can do
thing.
both of those. When it
Yeah.
dies, you could pay black and 2.
Yep,
And
and
then you
return.
get it to your hand and you get a 2/2 into play.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Or I mean, whatever your 2 mana cost creature may be.
I'm sure Alex will talk about this
But-
in a future Highlander episode because he's very excited.
It's mythic, by the way.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know if
mythic.
we
Darn right
mentioned
it
It's
that.
going to look so
It needs to be
good in
mythic.
foil.
No.
It's going to look so good in foil.
Yeah, this card looks completely insane. Best card they've spoiled so far. Well, this one's also good. Because next up we have Blue Grizzlebrand.
Sure.
No, look at the art. It's Blue Grizzlebrand. 7/7, it interacts with cards.
I'm glad he's finding work.
That's kind of what this is going for, right?
Yeah.
Geralf's Masterpiece. 3 blue for a 7/7 flying zombie horror.
It sure is.
Obviously, there has to be something wrong with it. There is. It gets -1/-1 for each card in your hand. So if you cast this, the big dude out on turn 5, and you have 3 cards left in your hand, it's actually only a 4/4 flyer for 4. That's still pretty good. It incentivizes you to dump your hand kind of as quickly as possible, so you get back up to a 7/7 flyer for 5. And it has one other ability, which is for 3 and a blue, discard 3 cards, return Geralf's Masterpiece from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It just it brings itself back from the dead right onto the battlefield tapped, which is pretty good.
And if you're discarding 3 cards, it'll probably be pretty big.
Yeah, like what I want to do here is like pour over the pages, pitch this guy next turn, pitch my hand, pay 4, get a 7/7 flyer, and just die. Just die.
Just get killed by it.
Yeah, just like have this 7/7 flyer and somebody's like claustrophobia, kill you.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I have no cards in hand and I'm tapped out.
Worth noting, the second ability on Geralf's Masterpiece there, the 3 and a blue, discard 3 cards. You have to have 3 cards to discard.
Yeah.
You can't discard with an empty hand or with 1 or 2 cards. You
Yeah.
have to be able to discard
Yeah,
with 3.
it's part of the casting cost.
Anyway,
the cost.
We've been talking about this a bunch. Incorrigible Youths.
They're so
Those
kids these days. These
rapscallions.
rascals.
4/3 with haste for 3 red, which is actually pretty all right. 4/3 with haste for 5. All right, sure. But has madness of 2 and a red. We've talked about this a couple times, but to be clear, what madness is if you discard it into exile. When you do, cast it for its madness cost or put it into your graveyard. So basically what that means is if you're going to discard it, well, it's not a replacement effect, but whatever. If you discard it voluntarily or if someone makes you discard something, you can either put it into your graveyard or you can cast it for cheaper than its normal casting cost. So like we said, turn 2, play Heir of Falconwrath. Turn 3, play a Mountain. Discard Incorrigible Youths to Heir of Falconwrath's transform ability. Cast this, you're hitting for 7.
So-
Hitting, because this has haste.
Yep.
I wonder if this might have a role in Modern similar to Slash Panther in Vintage and Legacy for a little while. Because Slash Panther was like this 3 mana, basically, like 3 and a red Phyrexian mana for a 4/1 artifact with
4/2.
Yeah, 4/2 with haste. And the idea was just used it to kill Jace.
Yeah.
Right? Like just Jace shows up and then you're just like, boom, kill it.
Yeah.
If Incorrigible Use might be kind of like tech against Liliana of the Veil.
or if there's a set.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Or in,
Liliana is in the set. Liliana of the Veil is probably not.
Probably
in the
not.
set.
yeah, but like in an extended, it's probably terrible. Like it's probably quite terrible.
What,
but I would
Incorrigible
have
Use?
assumed this would have been terrible too. No, in that mode where she like shows up, you discard a card, and you're like, I discard this 4/3. You're at 4 loyalty. It has haste.
Yeah.
All right.
Real quick thing though, something I noticed some people pointing out on Twitter this morning about the art on
Yeah.
Incorrigible Youths.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
It's got some extra eyes and limbs and fingers and
Do they?
toes. And,
Yeah, they're all mutated. Like
Or is
the
that
guy,
just-
no, the guy grabbing, so the victim in the middle,
Yeah.
the kid grabbing his right arm has an eye on his forehead.
Oh.
The girl on the right of frame has an eye on her collarbone.
Oh, weird.
The guy grabbing his left hand has way too many fingers. There's actually a tentacle coming out of the guy at the bottom left. You can't see it on this
Okay.
image, it's too dark. But they're super mutated,
Interesting.
and I don't know why.
I mean, everybody on Reddit's like, Eldrazi.
The thing is, the multiple eyes is Kozilek,
Yeah.
right? The eyes thing is Kozilek.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's Eldrazi, but there's something going very wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd like to talk about that later.
Okay.
All right. Couple more cards. here.
Three more cards to talk about. Shard of Broken Glass. It's,
Well,
we heard you like Bonesaw.
yeah, kids
This
these
is-
days love Bonesaw.
This is not as good as Bonesaw.
Tell me more.
Well, let's
Okay, it's
Let's-
different.
Let's be fair.
It's different.
Bonesaw's not good.
No, it's not. That's true. I misspoke. Okay. Oh, also, by the way, I also initially thought that this was like a reflection of someone screaming, but no, that's the piece of the stained glass of someone probably singing, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like they're singing. Anyway, it's a single mana equipment. It casts for 1 and it equips for 1. The equipped creature gets +1/+0. Whenever the equipped creature attacks, you may put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. It's important to note that milling doesn't trigger madness. You have to actually discard it.
Yeah.
So presumably there's reasons you want stuff in your graveyard that you would run the Shard of Broken Glass.
I don't think you would ever run the Shard of Broken Glass.
My favorite thing about this is that I really liked from original Innistrad how all the equipment was like stuff you would find lying around. It's not like very little of the equipment was like fancy swords or whatever.
It was a dagger. It was a pitchfork. It was a cleaver.
A matic.
A heavy
A matic, yeah.
And this is a shard of broken glass. I super dig that.
I would not actually recommend using a Shard of Broken Glass as a weapon.
Well, yeah,
this
look at
person's
the-
bleeding.
Yeah, this person has
they're
messed up their hand.
already bleeding, and they haven't stabbed anybody yet. So
Maybe that's a sign.
Maybe go look for that matic.
Yeah.
Is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Maybe the shard of broken glass is actually just going to hurt you.
But having said that, I think the design's cool. But yeah, I don't
seems pretty
think I'm
mad.
going to be running this.
Although
card.
I do appreciate the fact that this person is left-handed.
It's true.
It's not something you see every day.
I mean,
Represent.
there is also a chance they don't have a right arm anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, that would also be a reason for running this.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
One more artifact. You want to talk about this one, Cam?
I would love to talk about this one, Graham. This is Tamio's journal.
No, incorrect. Try again.
Tamio.
No, Tam-E-Yo. Or wait, wasn't it Tam-I-O?
Tam-I-Yo.
There it is,
There it is,
Tam-I-Yo.
Kind of like Will I Am.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. It is a 5-mana legendary artifact.
If you're interested, it's pronounced. We checked with Ian because she's Moonfolk, which is from Kamigawa, which is all Japanese names, and it's Ta-mi-yo.
Yeah, even stressing on
It's
all the
not
syllables.
not Tammy-yo. It's not Tammy. It's Ta-mi-yo.
I call her Tammy.
Go for it.
At the beginning of your upkeep, investigate. Oh, you get a clue token.
All right.
This is the book Jace is reading. He's put aside some time for it. It has a tap ability. Sacrifice 3 clues. Search your library for a card and put that card into your hand. Then shuffle your library.
That seems sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tutor up.
You don't even have to pay for that.
No.
Like, it's 5 mana, but you can just tap. In fact, if you already have clues, you can just cast this for 5 and tap it right away.
Yeah, and tutor something up.
Ooh.
So this reminds me a lot of the 5-mana tutor in Magic Origins.
Dark Petition?
Dark
Petition,
Petition,
yeah.
That also Dark Ritualed if you had Spell Mastery. This is probably not as good, but it's repeatable. It's on the board.
Yeah.
You generate clue tokens. Presumably you're playing a deck that generates a lot of clue tokens, or you just have this, and you can just go looking for whatever your silver bullet is.
And I mean, and even if you can't get to 3 for whatever reason, or you play this and it's more important that you draw extra cards rather than wait to get to 3 to tutor something up, then it serves that function as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's going to be super great. It does cost 5, which is a lot of mana for something that effectively does basically nothing when it hits the board.
Yeah.
It actually does. It almost never does anything to truly affect the board.
I mean, presumably you would slam this when you have 3 clue tokens, so you can immediately go looking for something.
Yeah.
And then start building up.
Yep.
But it does nothing. I mean, is this kind of like Pyromancer's Goggles?
It's probably very similar. I mean, this is the kind of card that you want to get
I feel like this is better.
you want to get like 2 or 3 of these for your predicted 13 clue win the game
Yeah,
deck.
yeah, exactly.
So you like stick 4 of these into your deck, and anything else that generates, like, I'm definitely doing that if that's
4
a thing.
5 mana artifacts.
This is probably like
I meant in constructed.
this is
case.
probably just like a commander card.
I don't even know if it's a commander card, to be honest. I think there are a lot of better card draw engines
Tutor effects.
and tutor effects that are a lot cheaper and more mana efficient. But all right,
I want this to be good.
I think we have one more card.
we do.
See, I can't. Just Declaration in Stone. I can talk. 1 and a white for a sorcery. It's a rare. Exile target creature and all other creatures its controller controls with the same name as that creature. That player investigates for each non-token creature exiled this way.
So super slow Swords to Plowshares is probably still pretty good.
It's still pretty good. I mean, this is still a 2 mana kill anything.
Yeah.
Right?
In limited, you're killing their best thing.
Yeah, and you
It's
don't
going away.
and the chances of them having more than one in limited is basically 0. And if they get a single artifact that just says 2 draw a card, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right? I would rather be facing down an artifact that draws them a card than a 5/4 flyer that I have no other way of really interacting with at the time. So I think this card is pretty good.
Yeah.
It might also, in some cases, depending on what cards are in the set, might be good if you kill, say, a 2/2 token creature named Zombie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Just-
like the.
They don't even get clues for that.
Yeah,
No.
exactly, because it does very clearly say non-token creature.
Yeah, so-
this goes. I mean, this does very well against token decks if token decks become a thing
or
again.
spirit decks.
Or spirit decks.
Also,
I mean, yeah,
flavor-wise,
Yeah.
Nahiri the Lithomancer has come to Innistrad because she's pissed off at Sorin. She's encased all the Markov vampires in stone columns, like basalt
yeah.
Yeah.
columns, and so that is reflected in all your creatures get destroyed, but you get all these clues.
Yeah. Nahiri has left a clue here for me. I wonder what this could mean. All these dead vampires
Oh my
might
God.
mean something.
I just realized.
Sorin is
and
clue-
no, Sorin and Jace are the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, son of a.
I think somebody said that on Twitter or Reddit the other day.
I literally just realized
Yeah.
that. They're both searching the clues.
Yeah. Or
Oh.
they're Blue's Clues, right? Like it's the stupid blue. Which one's the blue dog, and which one's the?
Well,
the
Jace is the blue one.
Yeah, Jace is the blue
That's
dog.
true. So that means what's
And
Steve?
Soren's the one who can
Was
talk.
his name Steve?
Yeah.
I feel like his name was Steve.
Right, Paul? Yeah, it was Steve.
I'm definitely hiring Klug, the magic, like the best
Yeah.
guy to get your magic cards altered. I want both of those planeswalkers altered with those images. I guarantee you I'm not the first person to think of that, but
Sorin in the rugby shirt.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Or like have both like Soren and Jace Planeswalker art in like the old oil painting style of the Hardy Boys,
of
with
the
them,
Hardy
like,
Bo- yeah.
holding the candle.
Yeah, that's true too.
The mystery of the Eldritch Moon.
Yeah, the mystery of the vengeful Lithomancer.
yeah.
What's up, Paul?
There are some other cards here that I think have been spoiled, and I see that the source on them seems to be official.
Where?
The Toppelgeist Tooth Collector.
Oh, we decided
yeah,
not
yeah.
to talk
Yeah,
about
Those are
those
from
right
the
now.
Blessed versus
The
Cursed.
Blessed versus Cursed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were just going to skip over those
Dual
for now.
deck.
And Pick the Brain was the other one.
Yeah.
Is that
Oh,
also-
yeah, right. We
Yeah,
didn't talk about Pick the Brain. I guess we'll
Yeah.
talk about that. I guess we skipped past that one.
Oh, Pick the Brain, that's a terrible card, isn't it?
It's I think
So Pick the Brain, 2 and a black for a sorcery.
Yeah.
Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from it and exile that card. So it's your Despise. It's your,
Well, yeah.
that type of card, right?
Yeah.
And it has Delirium, which says if there are 4. Do we like Delirium? Do you guys like Delirium
I
as a
have
mechanic?
No idea yet.
It seems-
it's hard to evaluate, and I guess you're going to need to build around
When
it,
I-
obviously, right?
Yeah.
Like any other keyword mechanic.
Earlier I said, we don't know what kind of graveyard interactions there are, and that was obviously a lie because Delirium is the graveyard interaction. That's the reason you want to put cards in your bin.
Yeah, is to.
This is not the payoff, but I'm sure there will be cards that
Yeah.
are more interested
Yeah.
about it.
Like
So
this is not quite like despised Duress Thoughtseize. This is like
Well,
sadistic
surgical,
sacrament.
surgical
Yeah.
extraction.
Delirium is if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard.
So it's like if you had land, creature, instant, sorcery. And there's also like artifact, planeswalker,
Enchantment.
enchantments.
and tribal.
Well, not in this set.
Not in this set.
Yeah.
Probably not. Let's just talk about in this set. So there's
So
7-ish.
You are most likely to have land, creature, instant, sorcery, maybe artifact.
I mean,
those are the ones you're most likely.
Well, land maybe not. I don't know.
Well,
It's-
if you're milling.
Oh yeah, I guess that's true.
Or
If you're
if
milling, yeah,
I assume Evolving Wilds will be in this.
could be.
maybe,
but
yeah.
I have no idea.
So that's what it takes to activate this. That's a big ask.
It
Yeah.
is.
That's a lot of setup. And in this case, what happens is you get to search that player's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as the card you've exiled.
Yeah.
And you exile those as well.
They seem to like that type of card where you can snatch a card, and if you meet a certain requirement, you can do it from all the other zones.
Uh-huh.
In Limited, this card is basically just non-playable.
No.
You just never play it. And even in Constructed,
Because that second ability is useless and limited.
yeah, even in Constructed, this card will not do anything.
I don't know. I think this numbers the days of the standard Hedron alignment deck that's been terrorizing the tables at F&M.
That's true.
I saw
This just straight up murders
I saw
Hedron
Kenji
alignment.
win a game with that the other day.
Yeah, he was playing it on stream.
I was so proud of him.
Yeah.
Was it the game where his opponent didn't show up?
No.
Because
Oh,
that's
no.
the game
Yeah,
we were watching.
So, yeah, we watched him. He's won 2 games with it. Then,
Yeah,
at
that's
least.
impressive.
No, he won a game by actually properly doing it.
Well,
Nice.
He actually got there. Yeah, don't pick the brain.
Or Hedron
Or
alignment.
Hadron alignment. So yeah, that's it for now. But there's gonna be more. We're excited about Shadows Over Innistrad.
Yeah, basically
Yeah.
for the next couple weeks, I'm pretty sure we'll be able to come at you with a whole bunch of new spoilers.
They're doing some really cool stuff with the spoilers this season. To the extent that I don't know if we're getting a spoiler card. I hope we are, but I don't, because I know that people will be asking, "Do you guys have a spoiler card? When's it being spoiled?" No idea. We might not. Who knows? They might be going a different direction with it. And if so, then I'm all for it because this looks sweet. So as soon as I know if we have a spoiler card, we will let you know. And thank you for listening. That's it, right?
I will mention
Ooh.
that we have something that we're going to be announcing on Thursday, March 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. March 10th. During our Lure MTG streams over at twitch.tv/LoadingReadyRun. Tune in probably at around 6 o'clock Pacific. Yeah, I think you guys are really going to like what we have to announce.
Yeah.
It's going to be sweet. So come check us out.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did just want to go back to the Incorrigible Youths
yeah.
mutation thing.
Uh-huh.
And people talking about
Oh,
Emrakul in the set.
Yeah.
And I really intensely dislike the idea that Emrakul will be turning up in this set, like immediately after Battle for Zendikar, because it's like, oh yes, you absolutely have to include the Lovecraftian Greebly monster in the Gothic horror set, because that way you have the collision of horror. And even though Eldrazi aren't really Lovecraftian, and whatever, I have come around on the idea and would think it would be kind of interesting if Nahiri had lured Emrakul to Innistrad.
Oh, as revenge?
Yeah.
Oh.
And being like, so you were comfortable destroying my home plane,
Yeah.
so surprise.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
That makes more sense than
Then
just
just like, oh, she turned up here.
oh, now it's an Innistrad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprise. Yeah.
Like, if
I
it's
mean,
part of-
I presume, like, I
The reason
I have
people-
faith that they would not just be like, oh, there's Eldrazi here for no real reason. Like,
So-
obviously there'll be a reason, right?
The Eldrazi have always been referred to sort of as like Lovecraftian
Yeah.
beasties, even if they maybe aren't. Like they're big eldritch, unknowable horrors. Like they satisfy that requirement. And calling the set Shadows Over Innistrad,
Yeah.
as a
evokes
direct reference,
Shadows over.
Shadows Over Innsmouth,
Yeah.
which is a Lovecraft short story. So people were like, oh, and I think that's a totally fair read on
Yeah,
it.
it is. It is.
But yeah, I was going to say I don't actually think it makes any sense for that to happen, but you've now suggested a reason that it might, and now I
Yeah.
don't know what to think.
yeah, I
yeah.
think that's actually I think that would be interesting.
I could see them
curious.
probably. I mean, if Emrakul does show up, my guess would be we wouldn't see them until the second set.
Yeah.
Because I do believe we need at least a set off from direct interaction with the Eldrazi.
Yeah.
And if they were to bring Emrakul into Eldritch Moon, is it Eldritch? Eldritch Moon. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Although
As long as they have a good reason
Hey,
for doing
they could bring Sorin on board in the Gatewatch, and then they'd have a Black Planeswalker.
it. Yeah, and that's true. And I guess
Oath of Sorin.
my guess is we're not going to be like up against like dozens of Eldrazi cards like we have in the past. Like maybe they show up in the 1 card or 2 cards or whatever, but it's not going to be.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Zendikar all over again.
Or it could be nothing.
It could be nothing.
yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows? Anyway, it could be Merit Lage.
It could be a boat.
It could be a boat.
It could even be a boat.
That'll do it for Tap Tap Concede
Yep.
this week, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. As always, it's brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun. Please check that out because it supports all the things that we do that you presumably enjoy or you wouldn't be watching, at least not to the end of the episode.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.